Hello everyone, Jilles Groskamp here from Team Infinity, and today I want to talk about the Infinity IF18-2, and I want to talk about my car that I used last weekend at the first round of the Dutch Championship. And I want to show you the car, the setup that I used, and I want to tell you something about how practice went and how I came to use this setup, and I will explain you how I felt about the race. So come and have a look. So this is my car of the race from last Sunday, the first round of the National Championship. And yeah, this is how the car came off the track. I just a little bit cleaned it, and but yeah, it's a very nice setup that I found. The balance of the car was quite difficult in the beginning to find the right balance. The control tire we use is a hot race tire. It's a 32-35. However, I felt the rear tire were a little bit harder. It looks like 32-37, something similar. So that meant that the rear end was a little bit loose. Also, the condition was quite difficult. There was some wind and also some cold conditions, so the traction was really was not that high, and what I said, the balance was more to oversteer. So you really had to make a very easy car, that the car not spin out. Yeah, the track itself, Raco 2000 track, is quite a nice track. It's actually technical track. It's a lot of sharp corners, fast corners. And yeah, so it was also you need to have an easy car, of course, a fast car, but you had to drive very consistent. Yeah, in practice on Saturday, I started with similar setups like standard springs, standard roll bars, 2-3-2-9, yeah, just stuff like that. But in the beginning, the car was really oversteered, so I lose the rear end a lot. So I started to work to make the car more stable. So a few things I tried, and was the rear sway bar. I usually run 2.9. In this case, I run 2.7. It's quite soft, but it made the car more locked in the rear. Also the downstops, I went from in the rear from 8 to 9 downstop. And so you have less up travel, so under braking and just going in the corner you have less that the weight transfers, so it felt more stable, so more easy to drive again. The front downstop remained 0.5. This is quite a good, just a good compromise for the downstop. Ride height around 8.5 and 10.5 mm with 69-76 tires. Pretty standard, because the tire wear was quite high. You don't want to lose the ride tire too much. That's why I put it 8.5, 10.5. Another thing I changed was the weight in the bumper, and this made probably the biggest change for me. It's 20 grams in the bumper. It made the car a lot more consistent, and it took out the edginess and a bit of steering out, but it was way more consistent. So also what helped is I move the caster more forward, so less caster meant that you have initially good steering, but in the middle of the corner you don't have the snap, so that also helped a lot. I started with this car to run the full top deck, the stiff top deck, but yeah, honestly I felt like at that stage it not felt right for me, so I cut with the Dremel, I cut the front top deck, and to get a bit more flex in the car, and immediately it gave me more just overall traction. Going to the rear, yeah, the rear arms, I started to run them a little bit longer upper arm in the rear, just to have more stability in the rear. That also really helped a lot. So here I will show you the car a bit more close up. And yeah, as you see, I also use the aluminium front upper brace to to give it more stability. It's more rigid in the front, and this really helps. The aluminium upper arm holder. Also the SMJ spring. I use on the end the 8.6. It's the lefty type. It gave the best steering and stability. Roll bar in the front is 2.3. Also the Ackerman plate, the middle plate, I use a 10 millimeter, and the position is in the middle, and also on the top deck the servo saver position is in the back. I do that because I feel like the linkage and everything works a little bit nicer, and you have good steering lock, and it's smooth. Now you can see the caster clips as well. It's 2 millimeter here and 1 millimeter here, so it's quite the caster forward. I used the standard one way. I feel that one have a bit more steering, and it feels fine. Another thing, I use the SMJ Caputo engine. This is a 7-port engine. It's based on the OS engine, and this engine was completely standard, no tuning, no Dremel, and it ran very flawless during the whole race. Runtime was very nice. In qualification was easily 4 minutes 40, but in the final we adjusted the engine a bit on the rich side. So after the first fuel stop, we thought, okay, we're gonna go safe for 4 minutes, but even then it was very easy with the runtime, with the fuel. The pipe, I actually had to borrow this pipe from the Infinity RC car shop. Gert-Jan, he borrowed me this pipe. This is the OS pipe, the 2165, and with the MR2, the manifold, the MR2 manifold. And this gave good power, good runtime, so this is worked really well. Again, the Caputo, again I drove it in Heemstede to break it in for 3 liters, and then I used the whole race, also practice, so it has up to 5 liter. I still didn't change the conrod, and I opened the engine this morning, and it was still very nice brown color. And but for safety, I will soon change the conrod. The clutch, also of course standard Infinity clutch. The gap was 0.4. I just measured it this morning, and the end play is about 0.2. And the clutch was working really well, so no problems with that. Now, looking to the car, some people tell me that the car has a lot of option parts, and it's they're saying that like the car has too many option parts. Well, of course we have option parts, but as you can see, I use not all the option parts, because simply the car out of the kit runs really well. So looking to the option parts, I mainly have the aluminium upper arm holder. I use the harder plastic in the front, the upper arm, the lower arm, and also the steering block. This is all hard plastic. In the rear, it's a standard plastics, the upright, the arm, and the upper arm, all standard. I very like the aluminium brake lever. That is for sure a must-have. Of course the SMJ springs in the rear, it's a 5.7 spring. More option parts, just the titanium pivot ball front and rear, just to save some weight. As you can see, I used the carbon battery plate, because the minimum weight in the Netherlands was 2350, and as you can see, I just used the standard steel screws, so the car was right there with the minimum weight. And another thing is, I always use the aluminium lower suspension holder, because this is just more rigid, and the car feels nice with that. Standard chassis, and again the top deck. It was an option top deck, but now it's basically back to standard. So very few option parts, but yeah, you know, if the car runs well, you can run it just like this. So that was almost the end of the video. One more thing, I want to show you the body shell that I used. I settled with the good old Extreme Diablo, the standard one. As I said before, the car had a lot of steering, and with the standard Diablo, the car was more easy to drive and still quite fast. And yeah, because I tried the Hyper Diablo, the newest Extreme Diablo, and for one lap it was actually faster. But due to the oversteer problems, I had to settle for the standard Diablo. Surely this Hyper body has a lot of potential, and I will try it again the next time when the traction is a little bit better. But yeah, this is what I end up with, the body shell of my World's semi-final 2019 actually. So that's quite nice. All right, that's it for now. I hope you liked my video, and see you next time.